Have you ever wondered why silence, something so simple, holds so much power? We live in a world where everyone seems to be shouting their thoughts, opinions, and beliefs. In a society obsessed with validation, it feels almost unnatural not to speak up. But what if I told you that the greatest strength often lies in your ability to say nothing? You've probably felt it before, that burning desire to prove yourself, to ensure that the world knows you're worthy, smart, and capable. You jump into conversations, debates, or even unnecessary confrontations, thinking that your voice is your weapon. But here's the truth. Sometimes your voice can be your downfall. In a world where people overshare, there's something captivating about those who keep their thoughts to themselves. They confuse us, intrigue us, and most importantly, they control the narrative without even uttering a word. What if you could become that person? Before we begin, I encourage you to take a moment to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment below. Your support means the world and helps us create more content that resonates deeply with you. Now let's explore the transformative power of silence. There's a deeply human desire to be understood, validated, and accepted. In our pursuit of this, we often overshare, feeling compelled to explain ourselves, defend our beliefs, or prove our worth. In a world where social media encourages us to post our every thought and action, this urge has only intensified. But the more we talk, the more we risk revealing our vulnerabilities. We share too much in an attempt to control how others perceive us. Yet, ironically, the more we say, the more power we give away. Words once spoken cannot be taken back. They can be twisted, misinterpreted, or used against us. Think about it. How many times have you said something you later regretted? Or worse, how many times have your words been taken out of context, leading to misunderstandings that spiraled out of control? The Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca understood this danger. They believed that wisdom lies in restraint, in carefully considering what we say and when we say it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control our response. Often the most powerful response is silence. Silence isn't passive, it's strategic. When used correctly, it places you in a position of power. Let's take a real-life example from the business world. Picture a high-stakes meeting where everyone is talking over each other, trying to assert their dominance. Now imagine the one person in the room who remains calm, silent, and observant. That person is often perceived as the most confident and controlled individual in the room, even if they haven't said a word. Why? Because silence makes people curious. It forces them to wonder what you're thinking, what you know, and why you aren't speaking. It creates a sense of mystery, and in that mystery, there is power. People are naturally drawn to what they cannot fully understand, and silence gives you the upper hand by leaving others guessing. In the workplace, in relationships, and in personal conflicts, remaining silent can often be more impactful than any argument or explanation. You maintain control of the narrative by not giving away your thoughts or emotions. Your silence forces others to sit with their own assumptions, often causing them to reveal more about themselves than you ever would. Think about the people who intrigue you the most. Are they the ones who constantly share every detail of their lives, or are they the ones who leave you wondering? Mystery is compelling. It creates a desire in others to seek you out, to understand you, and to be in your presence. When you remain silent, especially in situations where others expect you to speak, you create an air of mystery that is impossible to ignore. This doesn't mean you have to hide who you are or pretend to be something you're not. It simply means that you don't have to reveal everything all at once. Let them guess. Let them wonder. By not showing all your cards, you keep people engaged, curious, and respectful. In a world where people are desperate to be heard, being the one who speaks less but says more through your actions will make you stand out. There's a common misconception that silence equals submission or passivity. But in reality, knowing when to stay silent can be one of the most empowering choices you can make. Not every situation requires your input. Not every argument needs a rebuttal. Consider the wisdom of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By choosing silence, you are choosing not to react impulsively. You're deciding not to give others the satisfaction of seeing you rattled or defensive. Think of those moments when someone criticizes or provokes you. The natural instinct is to respond, to defend yourself. But what happens when you choose not to? What happens when you remain calm, composed, and silent? In most cases, your silence will frustrate them more than any comeback could. It leaves them with no ammunition to continue the argument. It forces them to sit with their own words and, often, their own insecurities. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back their own behavior without you needing to lift a finger. There's a well-known saying, "Talk is cheap." It's true. Anyone can say they're going to do something, but far fewer people actually follow through. When you focus less on talk and more on doing, your actions begin to speak for themselves. In the world of Stoicism, actions are paramount. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we should be indifferent to what makes no difference. In other words, what others think or say about you is irrelevant. What matters is how you live your life, how you act, and what you accomplish. When you choose to remain silent and let your actions do the talking, you send a clear message. I don't need to prove myself with words. This mindset not only keeps you grounded, but also earns you more respect than any speech ever could. People will begin to notice the quiet confidence you carry, the way you move through life with purpose and intention. They'll see that you don't need to boast or explain yourself because your actions speak loudly enough. It's important to understand the effect your silence has on others. When people don't know what you're thinking, it makes them uneasy. They start to doubt themselves, wondering if they've said the right thing, done the right thing, or interpreted you correctly. In essence, your silence disrupts their flow of thought. It makes them question their own actions because you haven't given them any cues to follow. This psychological effect is incredibly powerful, especially in situations of conflict or negotiation. Your silence creates space. Space for others to reflect on their own behavior, space for you to maintain your composure, and space for clarity to emerge. In that space, you regain control of the situation without uttering a single word. While silence is a powerful tool, it's important to strike a balance. There are moments in life when speaking up is necessary, when your voice needs to be heard. The key is knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Effective communication isn't about saying everything that comes to mind. It's about saying the right thing at the right time. When you've mastered the art of silence, your words will carry more weight because people know that you don't speak unless it truly matters. This balance is what gives you authority. When you speak after a period of silence, people will listen more closely. They'll pay attention because they know your words are intentional, thoughtful, and meaningful. Let me take you on a journey, one that's a bit quieter than you might expect. But trust me, the silence is where the real power lies. Imagine this. You're in a room full of people and everyone is talking, arguing, trying to make their point heard. It's like every voice is fighting for air, and there you are, just listening. You're watching them all, but you don't say a word, not yet. That's exactly where I found myself one day. I was at a meeting at work, and the room was tense. Everyone was fighting to be the loudest, the smartest, the one with the final say. I could feel the pressure in the air, and honestly, it would have been easy to jump in, to add my voice to the chaos, and try to prove that I was just as knowledgeable, just as important. But I didn't. I stayed silent. It wasn't because I didn't have anything to say. Oh, I had thoughts, plenty of them. But I knew something that not everyone in that room did. Silence can be louder than words. As I sat there quietly observing, I could see it happening. People started glancing at me, waiting for me to speak. I wasn't giving them the satisfaction, though. I knew that when I finally did open my mouth, my words would have far more impact than any of the noise around me. And then it happened. Someone finally turned to me and said, "Well, what do you think?" I could feel the room shift. Every eye was on me. The silence I had held onto had built this tension, this expectation that whatever I said next was going to matter. So I chose my words carefully. "I think we're all too focused on being right and not enough on finding the best solution," I said. That's all it took. In one sentence, the room went still. The arguing stopped. People weren't trying to outdo each other anymore. They were listening, really listening. That's the thing about silence. It makes people pay attention. When you're not constantly fighting to be heard, your voice becomes something rare, something people actually want to hear. And from that day forward, I learned the true power of silence. It's not about shutting people out or avoiding conflict. It's about understanding that sometimes the best way to communicate is to let the silence do the talking. So the next time you find yourself in a noisy room, remember this story. Let the silence work its magic. And when you do speak, let your words carry the weight of the quiet that came before. Your voice will be heard, and it will be powerful.